and this is the home of the vision. This is where it started about 10 years and some months ago, with Dallas and I sitting down and talking while we were working at Bethany Home for Children. It's no longer that now here. And ever since, the Wayne Community Church has been a big part of the vision. And the story of Gilgal is incomplete without Gwen and Gwen Community Church. This morning, I don't want to say much about Mr. Ernie Tisera this morning. I don't want to put him on the spot, but I just want to say we really appreciate him. He knows what I'm talking about and how God has been using him and the family to be a big part of this vision ever since we started. And so I was in Nigeria a few months ago in November after a very long time, 5.5 years or so. Okay, I think so. And just to go see what has been happening. Last year we were able to complete one of our buildings that we started a few years ago and we were unable to complete it. A block of classroom, 5 classroom with office and washroom and other facility, a long block was completed last year. And within last year again, we started another building, a dining hall that is almost halfway done, to the glory of God. And there is a third building also that we initiated last year, a block of classroom also that is halfway to completed, to the glory of God. Last year, while I was in Nigeria, presently the school started about 10 years ago with about 65 children or so, about that. Today we have 150 something children, 450 something children, and we have 3 facilities presently. You know, we have the permanent site. If you can put that slide on, I don't know if autoplay, that would be awesome. And we have a permanent site where we're building all the structures and hopefully in the future move everything there. Where the school started from 10 years ago, we're still renting the facility, using it, and there's still a lot of children there. And then on the permanent side, we have children there. And then next to the permanent side, we have a church building that we are also renting and using, you know, because of the expansion and the growth. And so I can't begin to explain how this whole vision is playing out, because it doesn't really make sense. Gilgal has really taught me that when you trust God, He can use little to make big stuff happen. Yes. Amen. Because we don't have all the big structure in terms of organizations and budget. I remember a few years ago, I was sharing with one of the professors. I was in a conference in the U.S. about children and orphans, and we started talking, and I told him what we do and what we've been doing and how we've been doing it in the last 10 years. And he said he cannot even begin to imagine that they have, in one of the projects, they have about 25 children, and the budget is about twice what I'm talking about every month to sustain. Then it was about 350 children. They say, how are you able to do that? And I said, it's only God. Yeah. You know, and God keeps multiplying this vision. It's been growing from glory to glory and from grace to grace. And I just want to thank God for how He's been faithfully sustaining the work, raising everyday people, and to support us and to keep running with the vision. While I was in Nigeria last year, we were able to buy, because it fell into this Orphan Sunday, and we bought gift for over 80 orphans. I thought there were going to be about, because we have 3 sets of children in our facilities. We have the orphans, complete orphans that have no parents and no extended relations. And then we have those who are children of widows. And then we have the real less privileged in the community, even though their parents are alive, but they don't have the capacity, the means to send them to school. And so when we were looking at celebrating the Orphan Sunday, I thought I would be having about 30 orphans coming. And then when they counted, and I told the teachers, I said, I wanted to celebrate my birthday with them too, so I want to buy a gift for every child that is a complete orphan, different, and then all the children. And so I was hoping for about 30 names. And then they came up with about 86 or so. But I had faith in God, and I said, we'll go ahead and do it anyhow. And so God was able to provide personally, and we took care of those kids. And God has been helping us. Gilgal have also been, empowering women and men in the community to start small businesses that we do from time to time, and that is growing mightily. And so we want to thank God for that God has helped us to help 1 or 2, a few in the community and extended. And right now, at this moment, we have about 7 orphans that are in post-secondary school, because we are not up to that yet, that are on full scholarship with under Gilgal by the grace of God, and we're supporting them through school. We have another young lady who is kind of a Muslim in a way, but God is using us to minister to them and supporting her in a nursing school. And we've been able to help a Muslim man, to set up a business. And it's so interesting. And when I had to talk to him last year when I got home, and this man sat with me for about an hour, and he was quoting scriptures. I never spoke a word to him. All we shown him was the love and the power of God. And God has shown us how to, to empower people through the love of God and preach the gospel, not so much with our mouth, but with our actions. And we've been seeing great result in this project in Nigeria. So your time and your prayer and your support is not in vain. That is what I want to let you know, that God has just been so faithfully multiplying, increasing this vision. My wife and I are always amazed on how God has been sustaining it, month in, month out, and 1 year to now is over 10 years already, and the vision kept growing, and with little or no solid financial base. But God just been faithfully providing every time the need arises. So presently, one thing I just want to also share briefly with us, the vision moving forward. One thing that we've been praying about after I went home, I realized that when all the children graduate from the school, they end up with really no future, because there's no continuity. And so I've been praying and talking with a few people, my wife, and I said, why don't we begin to trust God to set up just a mini vocational project within the facility, so that the kids that cannot go further into college, we'll be able to trust God to start a secondary school this year, because every year we graduate about 20 to 30, and then we lost half of that. I said, okay, if we have a secondary school in a way to support that, that is number one. And then within that same program, we have like a tailoring vocational sewing tailoring project, where the girls or the men want to learn tailoring, and home economics and buy some gas cooker and oven, and so that some of them can be taught how to bake and do other things, and also have a carpentry workshop. These are basic, simple things that you can get local teachers who are already established that can come in there and teach for not so much, with little incentive. They can be able to come in there and train some of these kids so that when maybe after a year, we can now begin to trust God to help set them up. And that way, there is a future for them. And even the widows that are connected to us can come in and be trained there. And that way, they too can become self-sufficient and to support their children. So this is the vision. This is what we are trusting God, looking forward to have a computer center in there, a tailoring center, and carpentry and home economics. These 4 projects. And we are also trusting God to have a water well. We don't have water there. We keep buying water for every project to dig a well and have a water pump. And so this year, these are some of the things we are trusting God and believing God to see happen. To have that vocational training center within the complex for children there, and some of those kids. This is one of the men also that's been supporting and helping with the work. And this are the children. So I'm going to leave this USB with the church and with the pictures. And if you need any question, just email me about anything and I can send it and just explain some of the pictures for you and some of the kids in the school. She followed me 2 or 3 times now to Nigeria from our church on a mission trip. And so this is the main building that was completed, behind there. So that is one of the things I really want to share with us, and just to let you, give you a little bit of an update on what is happening. These are all the orphans that day last year in this wonderful building. And this is a member of our church that followed me to Nigeria a couple of times, and his wife. And that is my uncle's house. He's a retired ambassador. So we stayed in this house in Nigeria. This is a permanent site of the school where all the structures are being put on. So these are all the children from the school. And so with me just, so with that, the orphans, they got all the gifts and all that other things they got that day. And so they stood with us and cut the cake. So that is just a brief summary of what we've been doing. Any question before? Anybody has a question to ask me?
The carpentry skills, John, that they learned, will they be able to take that out, I guess?
Yes. So what we want to do is that train them, just give them the kind of handy thing, and then set them up.
Right.
And they can now begin to become self-sufficient, self-sustaining. Teach the girls a little baking skill and home economics, and they can open their own little pastry store or something, kiosk, or the widows, and that way they can now become self-sufficient. The tailoring too, the same thing. So if we're able to buy a few machines and put it in the school there, buy a few more computers and put it in the school. We had computers donated to us in Grand Cache, but to ship them down right now is going to cost a lot. So we can also, we're trusting God to buy a few there and then begin to teach the children too some basic computer skill. And that way also some of the kids also can be taught an extra computer skill where they can now begin to apply to be receptionists or secretaries in other workplaces. So we want to just, the next phase of Gilgal is to, 10 years now, we want to stretch again, trusting God to do more than what we're doing. And we're just, so just to share that with you, to be, as you've been praying for us, to keep praying into it, and so that the Lord will raise what we need to be able to see this next phase come to pass by the grace of God. Yeah.
What kind of jobs can they get without this secondary? Like you say, that you're putting them through a basic schooling program, right?
Nothing.
They really can't.
Yeah, so this is something that we, what we've done in the past is to try to keep supporting a few, you know, to go a little bit, go through like get a little bit, go through the secondary and then get a polytechnic something. But when it begins to go that high, we can't sustain it ourselves. We don't have the wherewithal, you know, financially to be able to carry 20 children, you know, through that level. But if we have our facilities like this, you know, we can, a fraction of what it takes to send them to a bigger institution can be used to train about 30, 20 kids with this kind of basic skill. And with that skill, they can now set themselves up, and if they want to go further, they can now help themselves through with their own little business and say, okay, I want to continue my education, now I can now support myself to go further. And that way we are part of their vision and their dream without being overburdened with it. Okay. Is there another question?
I noticed that, sorry.
When you started, you were in a rented building,
Yeah,
and then you built one school.
right.
So are you still using the rented building?
Yeah, we're still using the rented building because the rented building is about 10 kilometers away from the permanent site. So the kids that are up there, it will be hard for them to come over there. So we didn't want to just shut that one down and deprive the kids in that community that same opportunity. So we're keeping that, we're still keeping the place. And we're hoping that maybe in the near future, if we can even buy that property, you know, and it becomes permanent Gilgal. But right now we keep renting it, and so there are kids there, and then we have more kids now in the permanent side because now, by the grace of God, if the third building now that is under construction is completed, now we're going to have a bigger structure. So we can now set up a fourth, like a big workshop that will accommodate like the carpentry and the tailoring and the catering lab or whatever we want to call it in one block. That is the future. That is what we pray and trust in the Lord for. So that's what I want you to be praying with us for, that somehow the Lord will do it and we can start something.
Where do your own family go to school?
My own family? My immediate family, my wife and kids were in Grand Cache.
Okay,
Yeah. So we live in Grand Cache.
okay.
Yeah, so I go to Nigeria every year just to supervise and make sure that everything is running smoothly. Yeah.
This is a long distance.
The long distance, and God has been so faithful that He's so, the way the Holy Spirit keeps giving us wisdom to organize it, that we are able to run it from here, you know, smoothly and put in structures without having the overhead, like a lot of other international mission organizations, about 70% of the funding goes into administration, right? The only cost that we incur extra is maybe the little percentage we pay in sending money over. Everybody the few of us that are working here are just volunteers, so there is no cost involved. So every fund we get, we send it all in there and put it into work. So
You have no paid people in Alberta?
no, we have no
one
paid
here.
no paid people in Alberta. The only paid staff are the ones over there.
Getting back to the well, John, where's the price for a well?
I don't know yet because it just came to me, and so I told them to now begin to get a few contractors to send me a quote, And I'll be able to know by next week, by the time I get back to Alberta, to Grand Cache, I should be able to get a message and to know what it's going to cost us to set up a well on the permanent property. Yeah.
There's something I want to point out as well, that John is not, even himself as director of the mission, is not a paid person. He's actually pastoring a church in Grand Cache, Cornerstone Mountain Assembly. And so
Yeah.
he's not on a payroll with Gilgal.
No, rather, my wife, my family, and I invest almost half of our life into it financially and physically to keep it going. Yeah.
I noticed that a lot of the children have the same kind of clothes on, so somebody's there to sew all those clothes,
Yes,
right?
those are their school uniforms.
Okay.
Right, and so now if we have that, if we set up our own tailoring, like training site, all that will be made on the facility, on the ground, as part of their work project.
I also just wanted to say, just to add to that most of the clothes we wear there are made. So it's not like here where you go in the store and buy. We do have stores where you could buy clothes, but 80% are traditional clothing that is made there. So if you can learn how to sew, then you make a living out of it. Because almost everybody makes their clothes, yeah.
So like these ones are the staff wearing the same clothes, they got a tailor to make same, and then they made one for me too, that day when we went for that day.
I love the colors.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't feel near as sorry for the boys now that I know you just came from Grand Cache.
All right. Okay, that's that. And Father, we just want to give you praise and thank you for your faithfulness this morning.